What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the first. Oh man, can you hear me? You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. My this countdown messing up. All right. What up, everybody? You're now tuned into the true definition edition of a sports fanatic. I'm your host, Brandon Lampley, back today with football, talking basketball, talking all the sports we want to talk back in the barbershop. And ladies and gentlemen, we are 3 days away. Although it is preseason football, we are like 3 days away from actual football, putting on the pads, getting it popping. Already I've seen across a bunch of training camps, tempers flaring, guys are fighting. They ready to play football too, man. They tired of hitting on each other already, man. But I got my co-host here today with me, Mr. John Reid. How you feeling today, sir?
Feeling good, man. There's football in the air. I can't believe 3 days they'll be playing a first preseason game, but man, it is what it is. August is here.
Yeah. My sister asked me. She's like, I want to go to the Jaguar game. She's like, what? When you think I should go? She said, 'cause I know it'd be hot. I say, well, just wait till the end of October, early November. And any time after that, I say don't go now because you gonna burn up. That's the one thing that they campaigning for is a roof over the stadium because it gets so hot.
Yeah, I'll start probably like mid-October.
Yeah,
between mid and late October.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But we're gonna start off. We're gonna talk some football first, of course. Talking about Jaguars training camp, and man, the reports I'm seeing coming out of camp. To be expected, we've talked about a bunch of players and certain units and position groups, and talked about them and how they may fare and how well they may be. But there have been some pleasant surprises. They say Luke Fortner has been a pleasant surprise so far. Brandon Scherff is as advertised. They say I saw him lose a one-on-one versus DeJuan Smoot, of course, but he's like if that's the only one he's lost all camp. He hasn't lost much. They say Cam Robinson is out there kicking butt and taking names, and he hollering next after he beating the D lineman. So Cam Robinson sounds like he's ready to go. Travis Etienne is as advertised. Snoop Connor, they say, looks very explosive. Dan Arnold and Evan Ingram look good, even though there's been some drops from Evan Ingram. They say he had some catches today that was amazing. That's gonna be the rub with him. He's gonna drop some routine ones, and then he's gonna make some spectacular ones. So we know that going in. Christian Kirk, of course, is as advertised as well.
Yeah. Let me go down my roll call list.
There you go.
I like those names that you gave out there, performing well. Brandon Scherff looking like they invested in a guy that can be the leader of that line. Yeah. But I don't hear Jawan Taylor hurt.
Nope.
I read a story today that LaVisca dropped 2 passes. Chenault can't drop passes in practice.
Yeah.
But I like the fact that Cam Robinson taking ownership, being a leader, and he's saying next and some expletives too. He's winning his battles.
Yes.
I like to see Devin Lloyd. It's just you have to take a hamstring injury, whether it's serious or not. You just have to take the precaution and not force him out there until he's fully healed. But yeah, he's missing some valuable time.
Yeah.
And, I like I've heard some things that, Trayvon Walker is not winning all the battles, but he's making an impact. He lost, I think he went up against Walker Little. I saw it on video. I think that I don't think you can give the victory to Walker Little. I think he got a pressure on the quarterback, but Walker stayed in front of him. But I think from what I saw, that would have been enough getting inside of a Walker to put pressure on the quarterback and probably force him out of the pocket. So that's a win for both guys. But I like the way Walker Little, from the reports, that he's taking advantage of a situation where he's getting those first team reps, And unfortunate for a guy like Jawan Taylor, but when you're in that competition battle, the coach is not going to look that. I mean, he's not going to talk about, well, Jawan had this unfortunate hamstring situation, and that stops the competition battle. No, that it doesn't work like that.
Nope.
Availability
is your best ability. Yep.
The best ability, and when you're you're basically in a competition battle. And unfortunate, you can't stop injuries, but man, it's just not the ideal situation for a guy knows he's got to fight for his job, and he's getting behind. He's getting behind Walker Little. There's Walker Little showing foot, good. He's always had good feet, but when you see him going up against the Trayvon Walker and holding his ground, those are signs that this kid is getting ready to take that position. And I think every week we're going to be talking about something that Travis Etienne has done. I've heard that his run, he had an outside run, and he just, they had on shoulder pads. It was just the tops and not the bottom. But, man, the explosiveness. Nobody can catch him.
Yep. That's what I'm hearing.
Using him out of the backfield. And this kid, he just looks, to me, he looks like that big play running back that he was at Clemson. And, he looks big time. It's just, there's some guys you just see say, man, this guy look like he can get to the end zone. And that's what he's looking like in practice. He performed that way during the OTAs. And, I'd be totally shocked that this kid doesn't come in and really make a big impact. I think he's a superstar. He looks the part.
Yeah, he does.
And defensively, I just think that hurt a little bit by Devin Lloyd, but I've been hearing like they're getting good pressure up front with that front seven, and you got guys that this is what it designed to be. You got guys really competing. Guys like DeJuan Smoot, 3 days.
Oh, he may have some technical issues, but I don't know what he was about to say about. Okay. Now we hear you. Go ahead. You talking about DeJuan Smoot?
A guy like DeJuan Smoot.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to be a starter, but
he's going to have an impact.
That he's an impactful player, and you got to find a way to get him reps. You got to reps because he can play inside. And you can put him on the outside, and he's getting good pressure on. He's winning more of the battles than he's losing.
Yeah.
I saw some of the videos going on. I don't want to be a guy who dismiss, just talk about bad things, but I've seen some of those defensive, offensive line battles, and outside of the guys like Walker Little, Brandon Sheriff, some of those backup guys are getting blown off the ball.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. Yeah,
and that's a problem.
Yeah,
but
that's a big problem.
You can't have that, man. You got to have depth. But I watched the video, and I don't have an updated roster. But whoever was number 60, he beat the. It wasn't even competition, man. As soon as the guy got off the ball, the snap was. Only thing I saw was the center fly back like about 5 feet. Couldn't get in front of him, couldn't stay in front of him. And that's the kind of concerns I have about this team, man, is the depth on the offensive line, and they can't afford to have any injuries. Not on the offensive line.
No.
Richardson performed pretty well.
Okay. Yeah, from what I've heard, if any of our starting linemen miss significant time, it could be a bit of an issue. But we talked about that. We know that. I mean, we said that from the beginning. We know that, it hasn't mattered. Even Caleb Von Chason has been winning some of those battles against them. You know, so.
But a guy like Ben Barch. And I got a phone call from practice yesterday, man. They say like Trevon just like, man, I think he knocked Ben Barch like 8 feet back.
Yeah. Hey, somebody tweeted out, I guess when that happened, somebody tweeted out who was at the practice. I forgot who it was. They was like, Jacksonville made the correct pick at number 1. It's obvious. It's obvious Jacksonville made the correct pick in Trayvon Walker at number 1. He was giving them the business.
I'll be honest, man. I think it's going to be a difficult task for offensive linemen to block Walker from not making a play. And then you got Josh Allen on the opposite side. And I think we talked about this a little bit last week, but I think it's going to – I mean, you could possibly see both those guys lined up on the same side of the ball. And just imagine all of that on one side of the field, and you got a Devin Lloyd who can actually blitz on the opposite side. I mean, those are, when you got pieces and you can maneuver the pieces like chess pieces, you got something special. But I think the kid is special, man. I'm talking about Trayvon Walker. I think Trayvon Walker is a talent, and I wouldn't be if he turned out to be the defensive rookie of the year, to be honest. If he continued to have injuries. I mean, I hear things, I just see progression. And I think I think not only did they pick the right, I think playing them in the right spot. I think they playing them at outside linebacker. I don't know. He much athleticism, and I believe he got that much athleticism being that big with that front, and you can stand right and read. You don't have to put your hand on the ground. He can make the read. He can move either side. And when you got a guy that's that athletic and that power and that big, I just don't see him making plays. I think that's just it's just like he's too big, he's athletic, and he's too gifted not to make plays. He'd never be even Brian, in my opinion, on record.
Right. Yeah, I know that.
Brandon, I went back the other night. They had Georgia versus Michigan in that semifinal game. And I watched a little bit, Trayvon didn't really stand out in the game, but there were some plays, man, where he got pressure on the quarterback and he forced the quarterback to get the ball out of his hand. And he basically was beating the offensive line. I mean, he just didn't beat him enough to get a sack, Mm-hmm. But even in that game, man, you could see criticism and his power. And a lot of times, like if he lined up on the right side, where they either threw on the opposite side, he threw on the left, or the running back went to the left. And but just tangibles, man. Just you could see even in that game, just his athleticism and power. And it's hard to block him. I mean, I think it's hard to sustain your block over a period of time. The quarterback has to get the ball out of his hands quick because he's coming with pressure. And that's what he did in that game.
Yeah. And from what I've seen from him so far, he's not going to be just a strictly rush guy. They're going to put him in coverage. They're going to put him in some soft zones, and he's going to make plays in space. He's not just going to be making plays behind the line of scrimmage. He's going to make plays in space. And I think his athleticism is going to surprise a lot of people because with Georgia, his role was it was like they had him doing so many things. He never mastered any of the things that they had him doing because they had him doing so many different things. Because honestly, he was that defensive tackle. They had him at nose from time to time. They have him at end. They had him an outside linebacker, middle linebacker. I seen him line up in the slot one time. So they've had him all over the place. But Jacksonville is going to let him focus on that one position, and he's going to fit right in. I think that it's going to take the whatever mental load he had at Georgia. All he was going to know is this role right here, and this is all I have to do. I think he's going to flourish from day one.
And I think Georgia had him a little bit too much inside. Inside, inside Russia, you got responsibility to fill the gap. You want to get inside interior pressure. But I think his gift is what you just said. His gift is he can make plays in space. And he's just hard to block. I think it's hard to block him when he's upright without his hand on the ground. And he can maneuver. I think he's a guy that can wedge off a block. You make contact with him on a block. He's strong enough to bounce off your block. You can't get him to the ground. He still can make a play. And that's when you got that gift of athleticism mixed with the strength, and he's instinctive, then you got a good combination that even if you send a blocker at him, he can still make plays in space. And I think that's why they put him at outside linebacker instead of putting him up there on the line or making him a deep tackle or whatever. And just taking advantage of the gifts that he has. He has gifts, man. He can move like a DB, like a defensive back. And from what I'm hearing at practice this week, he can hit like a freight train. Those offensive linemen, man, I think they feeling his pain, man. They're in a situation that they don't want to tackle to the ground and that kind of thing. But there's no limits when you initiate the contact with those defensive line, offensive line drills, the edge rush, the pass rush drills. Man, he's coming off that edge with some force. If you ain't ready, you could get knocked back. You get knocked on your fanny or you get knocked back. But either way, you're looking bad. He's making some offensive linemen look bad this week already.
Hey, already they say, you're going to have to invest in the O-line at some point. Money's going to have to be, resources are going to have to be put there at some point.
Well, I just don't think you can rely on guys like Ben Barch. Ben Barch was good, but from what I heard, he's had a tough week, particularly against Walker, And it just, I don't know what it is. You got to have, you got to start seeing signs of progress in players, You got to start seeing guys like a Ben Barch who can hold his ground no matter what. And he looks, acts, talks, everything as a starter. And I just don't think he's got to that point yet, man. You can't get beat in these drills 3 out of 4 times and that kind of stuff. And you talking about trying to start. That's not going to fly with this coaching staff. And it's a way when you get beat. Like Walker Little got beat by Trayvon Walker. But he stayed his ground. Like he didn't, he stayed in front of him. He didn't get knocked down or just physically dominated. But, I still think he lost the battle on that rep. But when you got a guy like Ben, I saw a video with Ben Barch with Walker was already beat. He was already, because Walker was so quick when the ball was snapped that Ben Barch reaction time, where he's already halfway past him before he can even get a shoulder pad. And you I mean, oh, you can't. I mean, I remember
I saw that one.
Yeah, I remember a couple of years ago when the Jaguars had the joint practice with the Ravens, and they had those pass rush drills, and you could just see the difference in the talent that the Ravens had and the Jags, because one by one they were getting tossed around like rag dogs, like rag dogs. And I mean, that's when you know you got a good football team, man. When you got competitive battles on the interior, in the trenches, and you got, whether it's the second, like a Will Richardson, man. It's like if you got a Will Richardson, and he's winning the majority of his battles, and he's basically a swing tackle. And then you got a guy like Cam Robinson who's winning the majority of battles, then that's telling you got something special. And right now, they don't have that just yet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, you got Brandon Scherf, and you got, basically Cam Robinson. I heard Will Richardson has looked pretty good. But then, Walker Little obviously performing like performing like a star. But then you look at the guys like, Tyler Shatley getting beat a few times, and got Jawan Taylor, who's not even he's unavailable. And those are concerns, man. Now, I would think there's going to be a lot of eyes on the Jaguars coaching staff on that offensive line in this preseason game. And who knows? I don't think they're going to play any starters in this game, but I think the offensive line is an area of serious evaluation at this point.
Yeah. It's what we talked about leading up to today about the issues with the offensive line. But let's look at this camp observations from day 7. And let's see, Jacksonville Jaguars 2022 training camp continued Monday. It was the 7th day of the first training camp under head coach Doug Peterson, featuring a full pass practice at Episcopal High School of Jacksonville Knight Sports Campus. Each day throughout camp, members of the Jaguars media, senior writer John Osher, senior correspondent Brian Sexton, senior reporter and editor J.P. Shadrick, and reporter host Ashlyn Sullivan will share an observation. Here's Monday's camp observations. So John Osher says multiple Jaguar players have shown signs of serious year 2 leap early 22 camp. Quarterback Trevor Lawrence unquestionably is in that group. Significantly, so is cornerback Tyson Campbell. Man, I've heard great things about Tyson Campbell so far. The number 33 overall selection in the 2021 NFL Draft, Campbell's early struggles as a rookie were well documented. That made his improvement in the second half of the season remarkable, and perhaps equally remarkable has been his consistent playmaking and confidence in the first week of the 22 camp. There are early signs this summer of the 21 draft class making a significant contribution, and Campbell unquestionably is one of those signs. Maturity level, confidence, being vocal, it all shows. Jaguars veteran cornerback Shaquille Griffin said of Campbell Monday, "It's crazy how much you can learn in 1 year. His confidence level is through the roof. He's able to line people up in positions he doesn't even play. He knows the whole defense. He has a maturity level to stay poised in every situation. We know every play is not going to be his best play, but to be able to snap back and get right back into it and play his best ball, that shows a lot. That's someone we can definitely depend on as a younger leader in that group." And real quick on, and I know you've heard about Tyson Campbell so far. They say he's out there battling, man, and he's taking a significant jump. They say the biggest leap a NFL player makes is between year 1 and year 2 is around this time. And he's definitely heard his name a few times.
Yeah, he's finished out last season pretty strong, and his confidence. I think he's at a point right now that his confidence is high. And there were just some technique flaws. I mean, he always, with coverage, he was on the guy. He just didn't play. He didn't play the ball and those kind of things. Yeah. But they've worked with this coaching staff has done a great job working with him. And he's a big corner, man. He's a big he's got speed and size, and you put that together, man. I mean, he's getting. I saw a play on the video. I believe that was the day before they went in pads, and he made a nice play on the ball, knocked it away, had his eyes on the ball, great coverage, and that's what they need from him. I mean, I think right now he might be a lock at that starting outside cornerback spot, which is good. But that's all I say besides Travis Etienne, obviously the quarterback Lawrence, and him. I mean, those are the three guys that I think is having, and I think you got to throw in the receivers in there too. I think those are the people that stood out like this first week in particularly in pads and Sunday that really playing like MVPs. But Tyson Campbell I feel he's made that jump. You want a tall cornerback with speed who can play the ball, and he's going. I mean, he's defending the Jay Jones and all the top competition that he can face out there on the practice field with those receivers. That's who he's going up against. He's not going up against guys that's not going to matter come September and October. He's going up against the guys to get him ready for the regular season. He's having battles and he's winning the battles. He's done another great job with press coverage. He showed that during the off-season workouts. He's getting up on. I thought one of the faults he had a couple of times last year, particularly in the Seattle game, I thought he played too far back. And I'm looking at a guy like him with the size and the speed. You ain't got to play 10 years back. You could take away the receiver's route and, kind of mix them up and coverage immediately at the line of scrimmage. And I think he's learning the tricks of the trade. Another good thing I like about he's honest. At no point last year he was talking about that I don't have something that I need to work on. And he's listened to that advice. He's getting some good, veteran advice from Shaq Griffin and Jenkins and those guys in the secondary, and he's taking it all in. And I think and he's getting better coaching. That's another thing. If he's got his eyes on the ball and we ain't even out of the first week of training camp, he wasn't doing that last year at this time. He's playing the receiver, but he wasn't playing the ball.
Yeah.
I feel that, all his has been and he's a guy that he even said during the all-season program, he takes film home, want to get better. And that's another, that's why I like a guy like Travis Etienne. He took the fact that he missed the whole season because of that Liz. And I think that was the biggest motivation he ever had. He's never been injured before. And he took that as a personal challenge, a grudge. I don't never want to have it happen again. And when I'm not playing, I'm going to learn the cerebral part of the game, and I'm going to get better mentally that, I'm going to find ways to know what holes to go through, this is that, utilize all the strengths that I have. And I think the same thing with Tyson Campbell, man. Tyson Campbell been taking film home. He's been studying receivers, been studying his own receivers. He's taking away things from receivers. And from all the reports out here, and he by far probably the most impressive defensive guy that's been performing in training camp so far. And the good thing is, hopefully, that he can keep it up. Because I think you in a season, team's going to come out. They're not going to show a whole lot of regard and respect, and they're going to challenge. And they're going to challenge Shaq. They're going to challenge Tyson, and they're going to challenge those safeties. And Cisco's and Andre Cisco's and the Jenkins and those guys, that Jenkins dropped an interception, so we can't have that. But
yeah,
I feel that they're going to get challenged, and I think they got guys that are going to rise to the challenge like Tyson.
yeah, absolutely. So let's finish up this article. So Brian Sexton says a day after the offense seemed to be grinding for every inch of the field, there was a sense of determination for the guys wearing white on Monday. You could see it in individual drills and even during the installation period when they were working against only hot and humid air. So it wasn't surprising to see the energy return to their ranks when wide receiver Christian Kirk took a short underneath route through the heart of the defense and down the sideline to the end zone. It only takes one play, wrote offensive line coach Phil Rusher. How he was. The offense wasn't perfect Monday, but his pilot light reignited. There was still some grinding going on against the defense that's bringing with confidence. I don't have to think about how much better we are, Griffin said. I know we're a lot better, and you can see it out there. So with only 2 days of practice this week before the team heads to Canton, Ohio for Thursday's Pro Football Hall of Fame game against the Las Vegas Raiders, both sides of the ball left training camp field Monday with a good feeling after a productive day. Let's see. JP Shadrick says Monday practice was the most intense of the 2022 camp so far, with tempers boiling over after an 11-on-11 play. Wide receiver Zay Jones and cornerback Trey Herndon locked onto each other at the end of the play and went through the sideline to the ground before a scrum ensued. A one-on-one pass rush drill between the defensive lineman and the offensive lineman continued with some great work from right tackle Walker Little and left tackle Cam Robinson. Even after only 7 practices, it feels like this team is ready for a change of scenery and a flight to Ohio later this week to face another team. Say Ashland Sullivan says Monday's practice was the most evenly matched training camp practice yet. It was chippy. You could see tension starting to rise between the defense and offense. It's about that time where we all have spent too much time together. That is why I don't worry much about the little scuffle that occurred. Happens every year. The defense was playing really tight coverage in team period, but Lawrence and the receivers still made some big time plays. I saw one of the best, if not the best, throw of camp from Lawrence Monday. He threw a pass to Kirk in the corner of the end zone where only Kirk could grab it and over the head of Griffin. Most impressive outside linebacker Josh Allen was charging at screaming, "Come here!" Lawrence got the throw off in time and delivered one of the most impressive passes of camp. The defense is really challenging the playmakers, and you are seeing each side get better thanks to the opponent.
And you know what? She might have had the best analysis out of all of them because number one, what she said was they're having even battles. They're not having so many times last year in training camp, it would be one day where it just looked like, man, what happened to the offense? They just didn't come out and perform. Some of Lawrence throws might have been overthrows. They couldn't do nothing in the red zone. As you see, as the camp is going, as the camp is progressing, you're starting to see a lot more. Boy, this is it was evenly matched. The battles are even matched. He just happened to make a great throw, and Kirk was the only one who could make that catch. But Shaq Griffin is right there to make the play. Speaking of Lawrence, man, I think he had a decent but not so great day on Sunday. But it seems like his consistency. I mean, there were some practices last week where he 17 of 18 throws and that kind of thing. And that's what she described today. He made a completion to Christian Kirk, and only Christian could catch it. I mean, so he's throwing it at an angle, and no matter how tight coverage, it's coming directly in his hands, probably at an angle on left side, and that's what you want, particularly if Josh Allen is coming off that edge she described, and he threw probably the best throw of the practice with Josh coming after him. And that's what you want, man. I mean, that's the stuff that's going to help them when they play Washington in week 1. We don't need to see in the preseason, but we need to see that when they play that opening game against Washington. that, especially those tight throws, completions, those kind of things. But man, I like the fact that they having competitive battles on both sides of the ball. Guys are making plays, defense coming up with plays, Trevor making completions. Christian Kirk seems like he's, it looks like Lawrence done found his main guy.
Yeah.
I've been hearing a lot of pass to Kirk.
Yeah, Zay Jones as well. I've been hearing he has some good plays as well.
Not gonna see those.
Yeah, Zay Jones. You heard me. I said Zay Jones as well. I've seen it. He's been getting behind the defense. I'm hearing Laquan Treadwell's name as well. But I haven't heard as far as LaVisca. I did hear about the drops. He still got to keep working.
I tell you what, Brandon. If he doesn't start shining more, I wouldn't be shocked if these guys start looking to try to find a trade partner. And I wouldn't be shocked. I don't think they're going to play a lot of guys, veterans. Going to play a lot of young guys. I mean, especially with the quick turnaround of playing this first preseason game. I would not be shocked at all if you see Lucas Chenault get a lot of snaps in this game. If he gets a lot of snaps, that's a tell sign that either they need to see more or they're shopping him for a trade.
Yeah. So, so overall, I think the wide receiver group, like I said, I thought that it was better than what was advertised. And sure enough, so far, it has been better than what's been advertised. Of course, Marvin Jones is Marvin Jones. Christian Kirk is as advertised. I think that's going to be the guy. Teams are early on. They're going to figure out that that's the guy. And it should open up things for the other guys. ETN, Snoop Connor, even Snoop Connor, because Snoop Connor is going to get some run early because J-Rob is not back. He's not ready just yet. And like you say you don't think you're going to see him until like maybe like week 3 or something like that. So
and I would say no, don't force it. I mean, I think your running back room is in good hands. Don't force it. Let him get fully healed.
Yeah.
And right now he's just not back yet. I saw him cut a couple of, he had a video out last week where he was running and cutting, but you could see he's favoring that injury, man.
Yeah.
It's like don't force it.
Yeah, it's no need to force it. Yeah. So now, okay, so outside of the running backs, our tight ends, I think Dan Arnold's going to have a good year. Of course, Evan Ingram, he's going to be, up and down or whatever. We'll see. Now, outside of that, what about the linebackers? Because I haven't heard, outside of Josh Allen and Trayvon Walker, I haven't heard much. Now, Devin Lloyd, of course, I saw him working off to the side, and you got to be careful with that hammy. But as far as linebackers, because I hear about the DBs, of course, the D-line is getting them most of the shine, especially that one-on-ones with the O-line. But I haven't heard much about the linebackers.
No, me either. I haven't heard a lot about Chad Muma. I thought by now he'd be one of those guys that stand out, particularly with Devin Lloyd out. But, I mean, we got – I mean, those guys got to step up, man. I mean, I would say you gotta play to your newspaper clipping. So you gotta and you gotta do it now.
Yeah. Okay. So he's got to. I saw like a video of Chad, I guess, and they were, just studying going up, and I was like, man, I haven't heard this guy's name at all. So, but overall, just from offense, defense, I like what I've seen. I mean, I'm not going to get too excited, but I like what I've seen, the back and forth. Like, even when the offense, because it seemed like they'll dominate, like defense will dominate early, and then the offense will dominate late. It's always been like kind of a back and forth. Like Trevor and them didn't start well Sunday, but then they ended practice really well, And the day it was back and forth. So, man, so far I like what I've seen, and Washington may get a surprise week 1. I think so. I think so.
I agree with you. I think the defense might set the tone for that game. I'll tell you this: you're going to see a well-conditioned team just trying to push the needle through this preseason. I think you're going to see a team with a great game plan. They're going to game plan for the Commanders, and we talked about this earlier. I think they're going to blitz a lot. They have to unrattle this quarterback, and I think you're going to see some big plays by the offense, and I think that's what you need. I don't think you're going to see a lot of starters in the preseason. I mean, if I was them, I wouldn't even think about playing Travis Etienne. Maybe the third preseason game, maybe a couple of snaps, but I would not force these games in preseason, man. I do not want to see Trevor Lawrence take a snap against the Raiders in this game on Thursday night. Just don't need that. Don't unnecessary. Go give some of your whoever your backups, if they're available, give them the snaps. But don't put them out there for a game like that, man.
Yeah. I don't think we need to see too much, man. Let's see. Sean Taylor, what's going on? What it is, man? Appreciate you for tuning in.
And one more thing, Brandon. They got to get their situation addressed that with the kicking. The kicking game is.
I'm glad you brought that up. I forgot about that.
They cut the guy because he was hitting reporters with his kicks.
When I heard that, I thought it was satire. I thought it was somebody being funny about the kicking. And they ended up cutting the guy. But they got kicking woes right now. See, Matthew Wright could kick field goals, but he couldn't kick off. They didn't want to carry two kickers, for a kicker for kicking off. So I understand that, but man, you got to get this right. This man is hitting reporters in the head with the football.
Who wasn't even near the goal. Man got hit upside the head. He like 10 yards from the goalpost, man. I say, boy, that might have been the deal breaker for why this guy got Mavis or whatever his name got cut. But you got to get that addressed, man. You gotta get some consistency with that place kicking, man, because you cannot have a situation, man, where you're down 13-16 or whatever. You got 3 minutes left in the game. You trot your kicker out there, and he's like wide right.
Yeah, man.
So,
I heard that. I say, dude, he's gone. He's cut. I say they gonna cycle through a couple kickers then if that's the case, because that's absolutely ridiculous. So I did hear about that. Yeah. So man, we're gonna put a pin in that Jags talk right there. We're gonna go to Mr. Patrick Mahomes. Of course, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, and Kyler Murray. They've come under criticism, the last couple of days, and it's been very interesting so far to watch it all play out. Now, two of them, of course, Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, the criticism of them I thought was unwarranted. It was absolutely ridiculous. But Kyler Murray is a little different. It speaks more to Kyler and his work ethic. I know they removed the independent study clause, and the only reason the Cardinals removed that independent study clause is because the contract was made available and it was leaked or whatever, and the details was leaked and it was made available and somebody saw it. And there was a big stink made about it, because if the details were kept secret about this, they would have never changed that. I don't think there would be any different. They would have kept that contract clause in there. He said, Sean, so you think the receiving core going to be all right? Oh yeah, we just talked about the receiving core, Sean. I think they're going to be fine. I think Marvin Jones, Christian Kirk is the real deal. Marvin Jones, Laquan Treadwell has looked good. Zay Jones has looked good. The only one is LaVisca. LaVisca is, we'll see what's going to happen with LaVisca. But as far as the group as a whole, I think it's improved from last year. I think it's a better group.
Yeah, They even got this undrafted kid, Winningham, playing pretty well too.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you, Brandon. I mean, I don't want to. One more thing about the Jags.
Yeah.
It might be hard. It might be hard for Laviska to make this team, man. A lot of people, it's still a lot of football left, but I mean, they got 6 solid receivers, and I don't think they need Laviska Shenault to win football games.
So. Yeah. So, you say that looks kind of bad about the clause. Yeah, it does. And Shannon Sharp was talking about it, and they were getting on Shannon, talking about, basically saying he piling on, and it's a black quarterback. But Shannon's like, that ain't got nothing to do with it. He said this speaks to Kyler Murray's work ethic and his and what they've observed. Because if Kyler Murray was a student of the game, he studied efficiently, and they had no questions about it, then I don't think this would have been put in. I don't think this is because Kyler Murray is a black quarterback and they think he's dumb and don't know and nothing like that. I think that this is Kyler Murray did this to himself. I don't think that you can lump him in the pot with Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson and the criticism they faced over the last couple of days. I think it's two totally separate issues with Kyler and with Kyler in one pot and then Patrick and Lamar in another. So, but it is what it is. But let's get into this article. So, Patrick Mahomes said it's weird when Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray not get criticism and others don't. So he said the homework clause that the Cardinals said they removed from Kyler Murray's new contract has been making waves across the league all week. Those extended to Missouri on Friday, where quarterback Patrick Mahomes had an early camp press conference. The 2018 MVP was asked if, given recent anonymous comments about him being a street ball quarterback and the revelations about Murray's contract, and he feels he's evaluated differently because he's a black quarterback. He said, I don't want to go that far and say that, Mahomes said. Obviously, the black quarterback has had to battle in position that we are to have this many guys in the league playing. And I think every day we're proving that we should have been playing the whole time. We've got guys that think just as well as they can use their athleticism. So it's always weird when you see guys like me, Lamar Jackson, Kyler, kind of get that on them and other guys don't. But at the same time, we're going to go out there and prove ourselves every day to show that we can be some of the best quarterbacks in the league. Mahomes has long understood his status and stature in the league as a black quarterback, so it's not surprising to see him navigate through that kind of question. And Jackson has certainly been subjected to his share of criticism throughout his career, including those who suggested as he was coming to the league that he should switch positions. Mahomes and Jackson have both won MVPs. Mahomes and Murray have both earned second contracts. Jackson may not be far behind, as he and the Ravens are currently working on an extension. Murray may not have accomplished as much as from on-the-field accolade standpoint in the NFL. There should be no doubt that he could play quarterback at a high level. Yeah, he can play quarterback. All these guys are good players. Great, got good players, but great players. And it's amazing that you had this anonymous DC, talk about Lamar Jackson and talk about, that he's a athlete. As an athlete, he's a one, but he'll never be a one as a quarterback. And he said he don't care if Lamar wins 12 MVPs. And even Calais Campbell was like, well, if he wins 12 MVPs, he's going to be the greatest quarterback that ever played the game. So it's like, I'm not understanding that one. And then with Patrick Mahomes, it's absolutely ridiculous. He's a one-read quarterback, and then after that, he scrambles, and he plays street ball after that. Really? Is that what we're talking about? But they are right, and Patrick Mahomes is right. It's weird that they get that criticism, but Daniel Jones and who are we going to see week 1, who we beat in week 18, Mr. Carson Wentz, they don't get that type of criticism, but it's clear that Carson Wentz is not good. He's not. Daniel Jones isn't either. They're not, but they're not getting criticism like this.
Well, Brandon, it is. I mean, the league got a problem. They may not address it the right way, but there's a problem. There's a problem in leaks. There's a problem that those guys are being criticized. And I just feel that, look, it's just too frequent, too often when a guy get a big contract that happens to be a black quarterback, then you have something like this of leaking of a clause in the contract talking about a homework, whatever clause.
Yeah, independent study.
Independent study. Now, I will say this, man. I think this is a message to Murray that
Yes.
you got to, in order to be, you just don't want to be good. You want to be great. I know that's been said and tossed around a lot, but it is a message that if you know that you're going to be a focal point of criticism just because you are Kyler Murray, then that should be motivation alone. You know, it should be motivation that this franchise, as you are their franchise quarterback, put a clause in basically saying publicly, I say publicly, if it got leaked, it didn't get leaked by Kyler Murray's agent. Probably got leaked by someone with the Cardinals. But you have to use that as motivation, man. I mean, it's not going to go away. The naysayers always going to be out there. And they always, and this is what they're going to say: you don't deserve that contract. That's what they're saying. They may not say it directly, but that's what they're saying. And then you got to just go out and show it, show the Cardinals that you can put 150% effort in studying playbooks, studying defenses, whatever you need to do extra, do it. Because you don't want to get a label. You don't want to leave Arizona when that time eventually comes. Have some label been created by your former organization when you do leave the Cardinals, and then you can't do nothing about it. So it's a message to the quarterbacks, no matter what. If you're going to criticize Patrick Mahomes, you can criticize. I'm almost to the point then, hey, that just, what more can he do? And he's still going to get criticized. Same thing with Lamar. I think there's a lot of jealous front office, the Zets, defensive coordinators, whatever you want to call it. But it's just amazing to me how some of the information off contracts get leaked when some of the other contracts from quarterbacks, you don't hear nothing. I feel that's a issue. It's a problem. And it's about undervaluing a quarterback or just, throwing. I mean, we use the word throwing shade, but it's the same thing. That it happens to a lot of black quarterbacks a little bit more than what it should be. If you're going to criticize Patrick Mahomes for not taking the Chiefs to the Super Bowl, is that fair? Because I think it is. I don't think his performance lacked. I mean, it ain't like he took a substantial decline. It just, hey, they got beat by a better team. But I see a lot of other quarterbacks that's not black, and I see their performance decline. I see they get a big mega contract, and I don't see a lot being talked about their whatever that clause is. So it's got to be, the league got to work on things like that, man. It's more than hiring black coaches. It's like you got to really do a little bit more than just protect your shield. You got to. I think the NFL has one of the best PR and marketing and all that kind of stuff in the world as far as a professional league. And I think they got to do a better job of protecting players who doesn't warrant the kind of stuff that this kid has to deal with in Arizona, man, just because he got a big contract.
Yeah, and I just want to point out that he also said something that if I'm the Cardinals, it would have gave me cause to pause as well when I heard him say it. So he was on a radio show and he said that I think this was last year sometime. He said, I think I was blessed with the cognitive skills to just go out there and just see it before it happens. He said, I'm not one of those guys that's going to sit there and kill myself watching film. I don't just sit there for 24 hours and break down this team and that team and watch every game because in my head I see so much. So after hearing that, what do you expect the Cardinals to do?
Yeah.
And then if they observe his habits, they're like, no, we need your habits to change. We want you to do this differently.
And he needs to. I mean, he needs to be a student of the game. You know, if you're a franchise quarterback, you're getting paid a lot of money, and you got to be a guy to burn that midnight oil. I mean, if you haven't taken the Cardinals to a Super Bowl victory, then you still got work to do. So it ain't like you're sitting at the catbird seat and don't need to hone your game. I mean, you know, you can have. I mean, there's a lot of quarterbacks that got physical talent and natural ability, but things change every Sunday, man. You just can't beat teams just alone on your talent. You know, you gotta find ways to win games in this league. It's that much parity, and you got to be a student of the game. It's just like on your job. You know, you starting a job. You know, you might have all the physical attributes to being a great person for this role, but there's some things that you got to know that may not be foreseen. You know, you got to be prepared for things that you can't plan for. They just happen, and that's what he got to do. You know, he's got to be that guy to watch that film. You know, hey, the 49ers might do something different, and you got to already know it, but you can't already have, I got this sixth sense that I can predetermine things before they happen. Right. So I don't have to go and read. I don't have to spend 9 hours at night reading film when I'm already been to practice for 5. So that's not good practice habits, man. That's not what gets you in the Hall of Fame either.
Yeah, right. And that's why I said when I saw this, I said you can't lump Kyler Murray into the criticism of Patrick and Lamar because Kyler's brought some of this on himself, you know. Yeah. But you know, it is what it is. And Sean Taylor say, Mr. Reid, you really think Chenault's out for real? Hey, we done talked about that a couple of times.
I'll say this: if he continue to drop passes and don't shine, I mean, he's not shining. He's trying to overdo it. I think a big sign will be Thursday night. If you see him get a lot of reps, is a telltale sign that they got to see more from him, which they do. He hadn't done nothing yet. You know, I mean, but for a guy that's, you know, I wouldn't say he's on a borderline or anything like that at this point, not yet. But I mean, why would you have a Chenault on your team if he's nothing better than your 5th best receiver? I mean, that's almost like you wasting a roster spot. You know, unless he could do something special team wise, why would you even have him as a 5th receiver or a 6th receiver? If you got 4 or 5 receivers better than Laviska Shenault, I would start getting on the phone. What can you give me for him so I can get better at another position? Because if I got 5 better receivers than Laviska, I don't need them. I don't need them on my team. And that's just the way it is. That's how the business of the NFL works. You know, you're not gonna have a guy that's that high of a draft pick going into, I would assume this is his contract year, and he's not producing. And he hadn't. He dropped too many passes last year. They had problems with route running. And I think at this point in the game, when I know they just went in pads on Sunday, but hey, man, this the 7th practice. If you ain't shining after a week or so, and you on the spot, you know, you the guy that they had out there practicing when the rest of the veterans was home vacationing on the beach. and you done went 7 practices in, I ain't seeing no videos of him beating coverage like Christian Kirk. I'm not seeing him like Jay Jones getting behind the defense. I heard him drop 2 passes. I heard that. So, yeah. I mean, why would they need him if they got 5 better receivers? And you might could get something for him if they're going to play him at running back.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just – sometimes you got to call a spade what it is. This coaching staff is not going to have guys that good, that high with that type of contract and not produce it. And I go back to Chason. Chason, I've heard he won some battles, but if he get in some of these preseason games, he get in that 3rd preseason game against Pittsburgh, and he's in position to make a play, and he don't make a play, and it continues, he ain't going to be around either. If he is around, he won't get on the field. And that's what it should be. Guys that don't produce, you got to be accountable. And I think that's what this camp is all about. It's not about making friends, all that urban crap, making friends and all that kind of stuff, man. Only thing that matters is producing. That's why you got a guy right now that I wrote. Jawan Taylor is a perfect example. He could sit out the first week of training camp last year and still expect to start in week 1. That ain't gonna happen this year. If anybody need to be on the field, it needs to be him, because Walker Little right now is taking bit by bit, putting him either at the backup spot or a swing tackle. If you're not on the field, they're not gonna give him a position. And once he get behind at a certain point, it's all over. It's almost like he's he's fighting the heavyweight championship fight, and he ain't getting out off the bench. I mean, he's not getting out of the corner. And that's what it should be. That's been the problem with the Jaguars for the last 4 years. Not enough competition at positions. Guys coasting along in training camp, dropping passes, still starting. And this coaching staff is not going 3-14. I'll tell you that right now. They're not going 3-14 based on how good of a friend they are with a guy that's not showing nothing on the practice field. That is not going to happen. That quarterback out there really done upgraded himself, done improved in areas, worked in the summer, paid money to have receivers to go to the Bahamas. Man, they're not going to tolerate a guy that's dropping passes, and that's not fair to Trevor Lawrence. So, no, if they got 5 receivers coming out there and he ain't moved up the ladder by that 3rd preseason game, he's expendable, and he knows it. That's why he volunteered to come to practice during the veteran mini camp and volunteered with his hands up to be a punt returner, kick returner, because he knows he's on the spot. And when you're on the spot, you can't drop passes. I done heard there have been 3 practices so far that this kid has dropped at least 1 pass. You can't put the ball on the ground. You got to be a star, not a guy that put the ball on the ground. Yeah, so, real is real.
Yes. Real is real. Hey, that's how it goes. Hey, and not only that, and this is stuff that makes me mad when I hear it. I try not to. Anytime I see any news about him, I go past the tweet. I don't even want to listen, but I can't help. George Pickens looks great in Steelers camp.
Yeah,
that's all I've been hearing about is George Pickens. And I'm like, they could have took Pickens in the 2nd round, and they didn't. And even Chase Claypool say George Pickens is the best rookie wide receiver in this class. Hands down. That's how they feel.
Brandon, it goes back to I don't want to put the GM on the spot because I think he's made a tremendous pick.
He's done a good job.
Pick. But I still say to this day, and I said it back in the combine, I said it during the draft and after the draft, I don't think you let a talent, if you can get a talent like a George Pickens, a big outside receiver with speed, I don't think you let that go for a team that only averaged 14 points a game last year. I saw that video. He cut in that practice with the Steelers. He cut inside. he grabbed the ball so much at the height of it that you could just see his hands. I mean, man, that is talent. This guy don't. He didn't even break a stride, and he caught the ball at the tip of the hand. The way they teach you to catch a pass at the high point, and for the life of me, I don't know why in the world. I like the receivers group. I mean, I like that room.
I like it.
But for the life of me, you need a big receiver, runs a 4.40, can get down the field, stretch the field. And I know Jay Jones has played pretty well. He's got behind coverage and that kind of thing. But this kid is young. This Pickens could be your stud for the next eight years. I mean, you don't pass up guys like that for this quarterback. But it is what it is. But I agree. I'm like you. I watched videos and I've seen. I mean, he's had a couple of highlights already. And you got veterans. When veterans start chirping first week of practice, and you got veterans chirping that, man, this kid here's something special.
That's all I've been hearing.
And you know something else, Brandon, man, you can tell a great player when they're motivated, when they done lost some, like they injury, done put them out for the season. It's like Travis Etienne, when you done lost a year. This guy done been in the weight room. He done rehab. He done everything to get himself back in gear. He's not taking anything lightly for the season, man. That'll be a motivator for the rest of his career.
Yeah, absolutely. Pickens, he missed I think he missed pretty much the whole season with that torn ACL. Was able to come back and played well in the playoff, the college football playoff, in the championship game. He played well down the stretch. And the same with ETN. You know, two guys very highly motivated. I can't wait to see it. But Pickens, man, the Steelers, that's two guys the Steelers have got. Both pass catchers that Jacksonville could have gotten, and they didn't get them.
Don't rub it in, man.
I know I don't want to rub it in, but it dog. Oh my goodness. That's 2 straight years. The Steelers always find receivers. Oh my God. Whoever's in charge of scouting the wide receivers for Pittsburgh needs a raise, because they've gotten receiver after receiver after receiver after receiver. They haven't gone through a period where they didn't have a top guy. Like they haven't. You know, they've always gotten a guy. You know, whether it's
cut phone to Trent Oakey. The easiest position that you can evaluate is receiver. You want one that's tall, 6'4", great hands, can run. You don't need to watch a whole 100 hours of film. You know that a guy is one of the easiest things you can do is evaluate a receiver. Did he do it? No.
Right.
So
I say, man, you got to be kidding me, man. So,
that's my Mayday moment.
I'm not with it, man. I'm not with it, but hey, it is what it is. It is what it is. So that last year Pat Fryermuth, they took Pat Fryermuth. So you could have Fryermuth and you could have had Pickens, and you would be set at that right there. You would be set at X receiver, and you would be set at your top tight end for the next 10 years. Easy.
And that was a mistake. And you had his position coach here in Jacksonville, and you didn't draft him.
You didn't draft him. Yeah, it is what it is, man. But we're gonna leave that right there. Hey, shout out to say, Mr. Reid, I'm convinced. I recant my statement. Hey, you convinced him. Hey, you convinced him. He said, I ain't got nothing else to say about Visca. I understand.
I ain't a sports writer no more. I'm a retired one, but I'm gonna tell it like it is. That, man, you know, you can't have a guy on that roster, man, that's dropping passes and then had so many chances. I almost to the point, just play him at running back. Let's do it running back.
Yeah. That is it. So we're gonna go into Deshaun Watson. So as everybody know, that's been all the news today. Twitter was set ablaze by the decision today. He got 6 games. You know, a lot of people thought it would be more. So many people. Well, now this is the one thing I can say about this whole ordeal with Deshaun Watson today is that people don't read. They don't. People don't read. And how I know people don't read is that it was very clear when I saw it said Judge Robinson gave him 6 games, not the NFL. Judge Robinson, Judge Sue Robinson, she presided over the case and she handed down the 6-game suspension, not the NFL. The NFL can now appeal it if they want to. The NFLPA had already said that they are not going to appeal her decision because they already knew what it was. So they said they wouldn't appeal. But it's not the NFL. The NFL did not do this. The NFL wanted a year-long ban. So the first thing I heard, oh, the NFL is terrible. Oh, the NFL, they don't care about this and they don't care about that. And the NFL didn't do this. She did this. Now they're going to appeal for sure because they wanted a whole year, and they're definitely going to appeal. But you know, let's get into a little bit of this. So it said, report Deshaun Watson camp displeased with suspension ruling, believes in 0 games, and I've heard that from some, and I'm gonna give you a reason why they should be displeased with this ruling, and they should believe in 0 games. So, representative for Cleveland Browns quarterback Deshaun Watson are displeased with Monday's announcements of a 6-game suspension levied by former judge Sue Robinson and believe there should be no suspension. The NFL sought an indefinite suspension of no shorter than 1 year, according to Andrew Beaton of the Wall Street Journal. The 26-year-old was accused of sexual assault and sexual misconduct by at least 25 women who filed civil lawsuits against him. He settled all but one of the lawsuits, including 3 Monday. In March, 2 grand juries declined to file criminal charges against Watson. Despite the lack of criminal charges, the NFL has the authority to suspend players under the personal conduct policy. As Albert Breer of Monday Morning Quarterback noted, both Roethlisberger and Ezekiel Elliott were suspended 6 games without criminal charges. Roethlisberger was accused of sexual assault in 2010, while Elliott was accused of domestic violence in 2016. The NFL Players Association released a statement Sunday saying it would accept Robinson's ruling and not appeal the decision. Watson's team previously considered a lawsuit against the league in the federal court if it handed down a full-year suspension, per Charles Robinson of Yahoo Sports. The disagreement with the 6-game suspension could still mean further action from a legal perspective. Even with the suspension, Watson loses just $333,000 in salary for the 2022 season, per ESPN Fields Yates. The quarterback will still receive his full $44.9 million signing bonus as part of the $230 million guaranteed deal he signed with the Browns this offseason. Watson also paid his full 2021 salary with the Houston Texans despite sitting out the full season. So this is the precedent that was set, and I want to tell you why that they wanted 0 games, and I feel like they have a case with 0 games is because the first thing, you already know what they brought up, Mr. Reid. You know what the NFLPA brought up and his team brought up. Robert Kraft, Jerry Jones, and Daniel Snyder. Mm-hmm. 3 owners who are held to a higher standard than the players. And nothing has happened to any of them in their transgression. Nothing has been handed down. No suspension, no fines, nothing. Robert Kraft was caught red-handed on videotape. Yep. And nothing has happened. Yep. And this was Judge Robinson, she reviewed it. And one of the things that stuck out to me was they said nothing was forced. So he may have been inappropriate. He asked them to do things or may expose himself or whatnot, but nothing was forced. So he didn't hold them down and do anything to him. And I'm gonna put it up from my Twitter. One of her statements, because she had a 16-page statement. We ain't gonna go over that whole thing because I mean it's like 2 million words in that statement, but it was non-forcible. And she criticized the league, and this is and you talked about this too. The league, she said, the league has bent to the will of public perception when it has come to punishment in the past. Mm-hmm. She said they've already set a precedent, and then because they've gotten criticized, they want to come back and change it and say you cannot do that. That's why things have been the way they are. That's why people get mad. It's like, well, Calvin really got 17 games, but he only got this, and Josh Gordon got 25 games for weed, and this dude only gets 6 games. It's because the NFL is inconsistent, and they have been for a while now.
Yeah. Let me piggyback on that, man. Yeah, and you're right. Yeah, and I agree exactly what you said about the owners. And you can't, to put a long story short, man, you can't have an NFL league who has punishment standard that's lesser, probably don't even get punished for the owners, and then the players got a whole different type of parameters that they get punished on. But if the owner do the same transgression, they don't get any. They don't even get a hand slap.
Nothing.
And for a league, that's the stuff that they got to it. And you can't have double standards. You can't have an NFL commissioner don't even bring it to the forefront like Robert Kraft, who get caught in the act, and the league basically saying we don't want fractions. And then you got this kid who he's almost been vilified, and the league the shield ain't protecting him at all. And that's a double standard, man. No matter what it is, what Deshaun did, I thought he did some things wrong. There's no way in the world that a player needs 25 or 26 masseuses and whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, and one of her rulings is, which probably should have been done by the league a long time ago, that she did rule that in the future that any massage therapist that's hired, it had to be hired by the team, not by him.
Yeah.
But that, I go back to what you said. I mean, where's his punishment?
Yeah, Rob Kraft, yeah.
What happened? The stuff about Jerry Jones and
Daniel Snyder.
Like Daniel Snyder, who's still going on, and I think personally needs to come in and run that franchise, hire a new everything from a new owner to everything from the front office got to be totally revamped with new people, and they sit on things, they don't initiate anything, and they want it to go away. I just think that's a double standard. You want the wrongs of the owner go away, and I literally done heard the commissioner says that we don't need those type of distractions. Well, how are you not going to have the punishment? Robert Kraft can do anything he wants. Jerry Jones can do anything that he wants. Have no fear of punishment. And that's why this league, it's a great league. It's a great game. I'm going to be watching. You're going to be watching. But those are the things that they have to address to make NFL a better league for everyone. Not a double standard league. I just think it's a double standard. I can go back to 2018, we in racism on the sideline, and then they do nothing after, no advocacy to put anything in the message. PR with no substance from this league to put their money where their mouth is. And that's the problem. That's the NFL problem. And I just think it comes down to this commissioner is not having enough, he's too concerned about his job. He's concerned that he got to make friends with all the owners, and he's too afraid to make decisions that's going to make a couple of them mad. And to me, I just think he's scared of that he might lose his job. They might be a faction of owners who starting with the Jerry Jones, and they'll vote him out. And you got to go back to the Pete Rozells and the guys like that who didn't care about if the owners was mad. You know, hey, it was about the integrity of the game and the shield. We have to protect it. And this owner, this commissioner, he just, I don't know, man. He caves in to the owners, basically.
Yeah, he does. And I don't know how true this was. I don't know. I think it might have been a fake quote that somebody attributed to Robert Kraft, but he was supposedly critical of the Deshaun Watson. He was very critical of the punishment. And I was wondering, I'm like, I don't know if this is real or not. So, I mean, I don't know. I didn't see any real verified people talk about it. But it's a Robert Kraft with a strong take on Deshaun Watson's suspension. Say the independent arbitrator coming back with only a 6-game suspension for Deshaun Watson is frankly an embarrassment for the entire league. I want, is that really what he said? Because, you know, they got fake quotes be going around all the time. But I hope that Robert Kraft did not say this.
I hope he didn't say it either, because that's a hypocrite. That's a hypocrite.
Oh my God. I mean, you can make jokes about them getting joint massages together and them going to the same place. I mean, come on, man. I mean, and Robert Kraft, you want to talk about it? Okay, Deshaun, this was his biggest mistake. He was sourcing girls through Instagram. That's what he was doing. He was sourcing girls through Instagram, girls who were not licensed masseuses, and they were there to, you know, perform certain things that was outside of healing and rub downs. You know, I'll let your imagination work for you. But Robert Kraft was going to a parlor specifically for that. And when I read up the stories about that parlor, his was even more egregious because some of those women were pressed into servitude. It was basically they were there against their will. Some of them hadn't bathed in days. You know, they were from poor countries, couldn't speak English, and they were forced to work in there.
Yeah.
So, but Deshaun, these women were all on their own, and he didn't force anybody to do anything. That's one of the things he said. He didn't force anybody in any of those interactions. But you have a lawyer, Tony Busby, who was the former neighbor of the Texans owner, Steve McNair, who wanted Johnny Manziel on the Texans, had put billboards up to get him to come there. And I guess they found out about this, and then he headed this. He was the lawyer behind this. And of course, you could flip your story easy when you find out you go get a payday. Hey, I don't play the lotto, but when the Mega Millions got up to 800, you better believe I went and got a ticket or two. You know, that's just what it is.
Yeah, but the league got to stop being hypocritical, man.
Yeah, no, they do. Let me get some of these comments. He said, Sean said, I don't understand why a year-long suspension would even be considered, man. That's freaking ridiculous. Yeah, it is ridiculous. A year-long suspension? You got to be kidding me. He said, exactly, B. That's that bullshit. Them colonizers need to be reprimanded.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, right.
He said, Daniel in it. Say Kraft was proven to be having reoccurring dates with prostitutes. Yes, thank you, Daniel Leonard. That's we already know. That's what it was. Yeah, and some of them were held against their will. Like I said, he said it is a double standard for the NFL is claiming they're trying to win back women to the game. So Watson is the perfect duck to hunt. Wrong, but he stupidly played into the plot. Yeah, and this is where Deshaun is not blameless, and this is where he is at fault. Is the way he went about it, because let's be honest, let's be completely honest and transparent, people. Deshaun Watson wasn't doing anything foreign that guys like him or that's of his status do. Guys like Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones and them, they all do something like this and types of things. Like I told you, they ain't got time to go pick up women at the mall and at the club. They ain't got time to be hollering at chicks. They don't have time to do that. So what do? They source women. Whether it's through certain services. Deshaun went to Instagram. Robert Kraft, he went to a parlor. You got the Ashley Madison site. You got Seeking Arrangements. Just look it up, people. It's out there for men with money who want women that already know what's going to happen. They come through. They set it up. Have them come through. Do what they do. They pay them a severance package and they send them on their way. That's what's going on. But when you can say, hey, he did XYZ to me, or I felt uncomfortable after the fact, knowing that you're gonna get money, why would 20 women not jump on the lawsuit to get a payday? One of the plaintiff's son dined her out. He said that after she had her session with Deshaun, she was happy about it. She was great, but she wanted to do it again. She liked it. She was cool with it. But then after the first 2 women came out, she changed her story and got on the lawsuit. That's what her own son said. So come on, when there's a payday to be had, come on, man.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah, let's see. Let's say he didn't force anybody, but that doesn't make it any better that he was even involved in the foolishness. The NFL may be wrong, but he is not innocent by a long shot. No, I told you he has this. That's his responsibility. He said, I don't even think Ridley shouldn't have gotten a year-long suspension for $1,500. That's another one too. Yeah, with Ridley, and this is really what makes people say Ridley shouldn't have been suspended as long as he was, but. This, from what I've seen about that, is that there's 2 different issues as far as the CBA, and those 2 their crimes warrant 2 different punishments. I mean, betting is something that they take very, very seriously, and it's already written up. If you do anything along those lines, what's going to happen to you? So him getting a year-long suspension is right in line with the CBA. That's why they can't do anything about it, because if they could, they would have appealed it and Calvin would have got that repealed, but he hasn't, because that's ironclad. They can't do nothing about that one.
Mm-hmm.
They said, they say, right, Brandon, but we will never get away with playing the game by their rules. We have to be better. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Hey, just because you're up there, don't mean that you can play the game the way they play it. You'll find out real quick. Hey, yeah, you just a ninja with money. That's all. Let's be honest. That's just what it's gonna be. Hey, yeah, you still. I did the my video that I did about Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes, and I did the article of them talking about the criticism of them. And the guy ended the article with a quote from Kanye. He say, "Even if you in the Benz, you still a ninja in the coop." I mean, that's what it is. That's what it is. Hey, even if you're a $230 million quarterback, hey, you still just a black dude, man. Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The way the world rolls, man.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely.
The NFL, I'll say this in closing, man. You're gonna be a league that's regarded as you want to be respected, and you want to be regarded, you want to call yourself that you do things by the book, and you want to diversify, you want to improve all the problems that been tarnishing this league for years, then you got to make sure that there's not a double standard going on in this league. We are in 2022 and not 1962. And if you want to, I just hate when this commissioner come on these news conferences, the state of the league, and he gets on the mic and he start talking about, when he get these tough questions, he always talking about, we working on this, we've addressed this, we've done this. And then you have a situation like today where you got that owner on your screen that clearly was wrong, clearly broke rules, clearly broke laws, and he did not get any punishment. He's still on his team. Everything is fine. You got an owner in Washington who's probably done just about every wrong thing in the book, and he still owns that team. You got Jerry Jones with his escapades, and nothing is being done about these guys. And some of these players, man, I'll never stand and say, "Oh man, what Watson did was right." No, that's not the argument.
No, that's not the argument.
But the argument is this: if Kraft essentially, in my eye, did pretty much the same thing, and pretty much, I didn't see the league do enough to investigate, to try to change the issue, to change the problem, what need to be done to make sure this don't happen again. And I don't see the publicity around the country as I've seen it with Watson on pretty much similar things. And I just felt that the league has done a job with the Kraft situation of just, oh, this is a distraction. Let's move on to something else. We don't want to, no comment. And that's not the way. When you're trying to generate an audience, which you do, you get an audience from Black, Mexican, every race and nationality in the world practically is a fan. I just think you have to be image conscious, and you have to do what's right. And I don't think they got a commissioner that does what's right. I think he does what the owners want, and that's wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but hey, we're gonna leave it right there. The hypocrisy, man, is absolutely crazy, especially for Robert Kraft to say this. I mean, that just shows the issues that they still have in this league, especially like what's happening with Lamar Jackson and Patrick Mahomes. And then you have him saying this right here. All this does is highlight the issue that's still going in this league. But I am a proponent of is that, you know what, I'm not in the business of trying to convince people to be something that they're not. So the Robert Krafts and, the Daniel Snyders, the Jerry Joneses, these anonymous DCs, or the people, the good old boys who only want to hire people that look like them because they're more comfortable with them. I'm not in the business of trying to convince them to be something that they're not, which is fair. No. What I would advocate for is, if you want true, I would say, I put it like this: if you want to be fair, if you want to have, what you do is you need to get your own. Just put it that way: get your own. Like we have too many resources. There's too much money out there. If you really think it's that big of an issue and you really have a problem with it, stop searching for acceptance in these institutions and make your own. That's the only way you're going to be able to deal with this. You're not going to be able to change these guys in the NFL. You're not. I'm sorry. Because, hey, even when the old guys like Robert Kraft and them are dead and gone, the guys who they're going to put in place are going to have the same mentality. So the only way you get past something like this is you make your own. You build your own league, man. That's one thing I don't understand. You're searching for acceptance in these institutions where they clearly don't care nothing about you and see you as a second-class citizen. Build your own.
And another thing to add to what you said, it just take too long to, you'd be waiting for the next 40, 50 years to be on equal terms, and that's, that's the problem. We want to be involved and we hope for change, but sometimes change take too long, because of the people. It's sad when you really think about it that, we all see the NFL as entertainment. We set our weekends for football and the big matchups on Sunday, and then Monday through Friday come, and they're abusing some of the same issues around the world that you want to escape from. They're doing the same things. They're doing, they don't address. Another problem I got with this league is that there's no way in the world that the NFL have not done enough to hire to have more Black NFL head coaches. And when the issue comes out every spring, when we have the hiring season, and you get in this, the commissioner get the same question asked each year. Oh, we're gonna do more. We know it's a problem. We're gonna do this and we're gonna do that. Hiring cycle go by. You might get one hire, maybe two. They get fired and you be right back to zero. That's just, that's unacceptable, Yeah. And when you're talking about building your own league, another thing is, the only thing I think going to really wake up this league is when a large segment of especially Black Americans don't buy the tickets, don't watch the games, and that might be their wake up call. Where, man, we got to make sure that we inclusive and we diversified, and we want to make sure our league is acceptable for everyone, not just the rich and the white.
Yeah.
That's the problem. That's the problem with this league, man.
Yeah. Well, I say it for the most part, we have the same issues year in and year out. It doesn't matter. The same talking points. Lamar Jackson, black quarterback, has faced this criticism. All type of stuff. It's been the same thing over and over and over again. And so that leads me to believe that it's not going to change. It's not going to get any better. All they're going to do, and see, this is where we have our fault, especially as black people, is that you cool with empty gestures and band-aids.
Mm-hmm.
An empty gesture and a band-aid is be fine. They don't solve the issue, but they kind of talk about it and say, we're going to start a dialogue, and we're going to be more progressive, and we're going to be this, and we're going to be that, and nothing gets done, and we just move on. And it happens. Wash, rinse, repeat. That's what goes on. Wash, rinse, and repeat happens. The same thing happens over and over and over again. And I'm just tired of talking about it at this point because it's not going to change.
No, you're right.
Yeah. So, man, we're going to leave that right there. We're going to put independent football talks. We're going to talk a little basketball, and we're going to get up out of here. And one of the all-time greats, one of the greatest athletes, regardless of sports, passed yesterday, and that was Bill Russell, the 11-time champion. So they put out a statement on his Twitter, said it is with a very heavy heart that we would like to pass along to all of Bill's friends, fans, and followers. Bill Russell, the most prolific winner in American sports history, passed away peacefully today at age 88 with his wife Janine by his side. Arrangements for his memorial service will be announced soon. Bill's 2 state championships in high school offer a glimmer of the incomparable run of pure team accomplishments to come. Twice an NCAA champion, captain of a gold medal winning USA Olympic team, 11 times an NBA champion, and at the helm for 2 NBA championships as the first black head coach of any North American professional sports team. Along the way, Bill earned a string of individual awards that stands unprecedented as it unmentioned by him. In 2009, the award for the NBA Finals Most Valuable Player was renamed after the 2-time Hall of Famer as the Bill Russell NBA Finals Most Valuable Player Award. But for all the winning, Bill's understanding of the struggle is what illuminated his life, from boycotting a 1961 exhibition game to unmasked too long tolerated discrimination to leading Mississippi's first integrated basketball camp in the combustible wake of Medgar Evers' assassination, to decades of activism ultimately recognized by his receipt of the Presidential Medal of Freedom in 2010. Bill called out injustice with an unforgiving candor that he intended would disrupt the status quo, with a powerful example that, though never his humble intention, will forever inspire teamwork, selflessness, and thoughtful change. Bill's wife, Janine, and his many friends and family, thank you for keeping Bill in your prayers. Perhaps you relive one or two of the golden moments he gave us, or recall his trademark laugh as he delighted and explained the real story behind how those moments unfolded. And we hope each of us can find a new way to act or speak up with Bill's uncompromising, dignified, and always constructive commitment to principle. That will be one last and lasting win for our beloved number 6. And so there he is right there. Man, I mean, what can you say about Bill Russell? An 11-time champion, a civil rights activist. I didn't know he was on the FBI. He was on the FBI's radar. They called him an uppity Negro who wouldn't sign autographs for white kids. That was written.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I saw that today, and I was like, that's real.
I just say we lost a great one, man. We lost a when you hear these young athletes talking about a trendsetter, someone who paved the way for us, that's Bill Russell. Bill Russell did things in the 60s that essentially could cost him his life, and he did it anyway.
Yeah.
Sometimes I used to think that Bill Russell didn't get celebrated enough for all the things that he did. I can, during the NBA times, I can remember times where players are just, it was just an honor to get you hold out your hand and shake his hand. That for many players, sports writers too, that was an honor just to be in the same room with a person of, I take you back, he is the first black head coach of anything.
Yeah.
It was Bill Russell in the 60s, early 60s, and just, just the things that he fought for back when the civil rights movement, he supported Muhammad Ali. And I think when he supported him, I think some others, Jim Brown and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and those guys, and I just think he did everything for the cause. It's just a great man, and just let alone his basketball skills, winning all the championships. You realize there'd be I don't think any era that's ahead of us, there's never going to be a player to win as many championships as Bill Russell. I read something today that I think he went to 8 finals in a row and won all 8 of them.
Won all 8. Yeah, I saw that.
Can you even? I can't even visualize that. When you look at a team, say the Warriors, and they win 2 straight, and think about it. He went to the finals 8 years in a row and went 8-0.
8-0. Hey, he played in 10 game 7s and he went 10-0. He never lost a game 7.
10-0. And it's like Wilt Chamberlain was one of the greatest scorers of all NBA history. And he couldn't find a way that it's just like Bill would find a way to beat him in the big games.
Yep.
Wilt would score 40 and still lose to that Celtic team led by Bill Russell. I heard something on the radio today that in those game 7s, if you add his rebounds, I think he averaged like 24.7 rebounds, 24.7 rebounds in all those total game 7 games. That's wow. Like nobody ever is going to do that, can match that. He got more rings than he got fingers. Yeah. It just, and another thing though, Brandon, about him, man, he was personable. You could actually walk up to him and, hey, Mr. Russell, I just, it's an honor to meet you, and I just like to get your autograph. And he treated people like it was an honor for the person to walk up to him and acknowledge him, and things like that. David Stern was a lot closer to Bill than this commissioner is now. And, that trophy was established by David Stern. And, he would be somebody, and I'll give you some examples. He would be somebody, if you covered a game in Boston, he would be a guy that would be in the hallway, always laughing, telling jokes, and he would see players and he just pat them on the back, and it'd be like this conversation that they done. It's like he almost knew this player for the last 15 years. He just had this. He loved the game, and he just loved talking basketball with these guys, with these players, and everybody respected him, including Michael Jordan, everybody. And it's just, rest in peace. But man, we lost a great one with the passing of Bill Russell, man.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Two titles in high school, 2 titles in college. The ultimate winner. Like you said, we'll never see this again. I saw some old video of him. It's grainy footage. That's let you know how old it was. And dude, he looks like Jordan before Jordan. he's just gliding through the defenders to the basket. Like they couldn't do anything with him. Like you couldn't stop him. I saw where him and Wilt Chamberlain had a friendship. They were very close. And said that on Thanksgiving he would go over to Wilt's house and he'd eat over there. His mom would feed him. He'd sleep in Wilt's bed and all of that. And he said Wilt's mom, he said, then he'll beat him. He'll beat him. And then Wilt's mom said, hey, maybe we feed him too well when he come over here.
Yeah, that's what you call a role model, man. You want to know what defines a role model? I think Bill Russell is a role model. You know, he just didn't use sports, wasn't just, you know, it wasn't the only thing that he made an impact on. You know, he knew things was wrong. You know, especially with the civil rights movement, and he was a person to use his name for the cause. He didn't care about the risk and the price he might have to pay. He just knew what was good to be involved and be a participant and not a guy standing on the sideline. And we owe a lot to Bill Russell, man. I mean, we younger generation, but we owe a lot to him, man. We really do.
Yeah. Them and him, Kareem, well, they were really, to be an activist back then, dude. It was hazardous because at any time, you know, those guys were being taken out. To stand up in the face of that, because you could easily go, well, that ain't got nothing to do with me. I'm just a basketball player, and I ain't trying to get involved in none of that. He could easily did that, but he didn't. You know, a lot of those guys didn't. They wanted to speak up. They wanted to speak out, talk about the injustices because they wanted to make things better. You know, and I always commend them for that because, you got it today where dudes could be bought today. You know, they ain't gonna say nothing. You gonna get them they millions and they gonna sit up on their perch and they gonna act like they don't see nothing.
And you know, another thing, you know, back in the 60s, Boston might have been even in the 70s, Boston was one of the most racist towns on the East Coast. I'll just say the East Coast.
You heard Big Baby Davis talk about that recently? He said that he seen fans be openly racist to people. He said, but he never really said anything about it because they was always nice to him. So he stood by and watched it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, they didn't like bussing in Boston back in 71. They didn't like that bussing. But they love Bill. no matter how racist. Yeah. They love Bill Russell, man. But,
yeah, so, well, we're going to put a pin in that right there. And we're going to finish up. We're going to stay in basketball. We're going to finish up. We're going to talk about one of our favorite. We haven't talked about him in a minute, so it's good. We got to bring him back to the show. He was a recurring character on this show, so we got to bring him back because he was in the news recently. He got his payday. Mr. Zion Williamson is back in the news. So Zion got paid, but it said why Zion Williamson is bothered by the weight ridicule after his contract clause. So it's a Pelicans star Zion Williamson is apparently annoyed by the chatter surrounding his physique following a recent report that the alleged team including a weight clause in his new max deal. Williamson, who recently signed a 5-year, $193 million rookie max contract with escalators up to $231 million, is said to be bothered by the concerns about his weight have fostered a narrative that he doesn't want to put in the work to be great. He said, from what I've heard, it truly bothers him because people use his apparent weight gains in the past as proof that Williamson doesn't like to work or doesn't care about doing what's necessary to be great, William Guillory reported, noting that it's not about people making fat jokes, which he's dealt with throughout his career. The Zion Williamson's contract reportedly states that the Pelicans big man will have periodic weigh-ins throughout the entirety of his new deal and stipulates his weight and body fat percentage must be below a combined 295. If the weight isn't within the threshold of the deal, he could lose an amount of guaranteed money. Williamson, who is currently listed on the NBA's website as 6'6" and 284 pounds, allegedly knew the Pelicans came into negotiation with specific demands related to his conditioning and health. He said, okay. He said the former first-round pick, overall pick, underwent surgery last July for a fractured fifth metatarsal in his right foot and missed the entire 21-22 season. Williamson appeared to put on weight while recovering from the injury and is said to have weighed more than 300 pounds at one point. Williamson, however, has been taking necessary steps to ensure that he is in shape for the upcoming season. The Duke product is said to be working with personal trainer Jasper Bibbs and has also hired a private chef. Oh, no more beignets, no more gumbo. Okay, no more of that.
But that's the problem right there. How many years he been in the league? This would be what, the fourth year?
Did he going into his fourth year?
Going into the fourth year, and he just
only
hired
played
his own
games.
And he just hired his own chef, and he worried about the publicity that he's overweight and you can't trust him. He overeat. Come on, man. You know, the situation with that is Zion caused this problem, you know, and I don't blame the Pelicans for protecting their investment, you know. I mean, I think Zion is a little bit immature. I think he wanted to control the narrative, but I mean, you can't go from 260 to 280, miss all those games, get heavy while you miss them, and then don't expect that the Pelicans going to try to put some type of clauses in a new deal. I mean, that's kind of, come on, Zion, you gotta. It's a professional league. This is not your league, and you got to when you did this on yourself, and now you have to suffer the consequences of that negative publicity, I guess, for what you don't want to deal with. But you know, I don't know, man. I just feel that guys come in the league, you set the parameters, and you don't follow through on the things that you need to do to be a pro without negativity, then you put this stuff upon yourself, and then it's somebody else's fault.
Right.
So should have hired a chef his rookie season, to be honest.
Yeah, he should have. And then somebody brought up the point where it's many players who have these clauses in their contracts. He's not the only one. This isn't anything unique to him, because there's plenty of players who have attempted to eat their way out of the leagues. I mean, no matter the league, players, you know, they get overweight, you know, so this is not anything new. But for him to be 200, he's listed at 284 pounds. And of course, when he was at his heaviest, I'm sure he was over 300. But as far as a playing weight, I would say, really, man, he should really be in the, I don't want to go too low. I would say the 250s may be a little too low, you know, because he could operate at a higher weight. But, okay, so let's say he's used to playing at around like 285-ish. Dude, 270 should be perfect for him.
I'll go down to 265. He should be around
265.
Yep.
Yeah, because he needs to get some. He needs to not have as much weight anyway if he wants to have a lengthy career. It's not just about today. It's about 10 years from now. I mean, you see where these guys, they're playing 17, 18, 19 years of basketball. You think he's going to play 19, 20 years of basketball at 295 pounds? Absolutely not.
Yeah. And you know the thing, Brandon, he should want to lose weight. He should know that he's endangering the longevity of his career being that heavy. I mean, he should be the one to take ownership of his career, not the Pelicans and their clauses. It should be Zion Williamson. You know, do you love the game enough that you want to play as long as you can play? Well, if you love the game and you want to play as long as you can play, then you got some of your own. You got responsibility in that too. You know, stop eating beignets. Should have got the trainer. Should have got the chef, the trainer, and all that. As a rookie, you was too heavy at Duke, to be honest. I mean, you was too heavy at Duke, and then you playing what 3 times more games, more demands on your knees, and that's when I feel that a guy like him has to take control of his career. You know what I mean? You don't need the GM of the Pelicans to tell you, well, John, this is what you need. You got to lose 20 pounds. And in order for you to have a long, prosperous career, then you might need to be at 265. He should know that.
Yes.
I mean, come on, man. And that's a young guy, but you got to take ownership of your career, man. And whatever the public has to ridicule you about, you cause that on your own. You know,
cause it on yourself.
That's why they're fans. You know, it just sometimes I laugh, man, but I don't know, man. I feel when you come into this league, you're a pro. No pro wants to eat themselves out of the league because it's happened before. This guys literally done ate themselves out of the league. You know, I remember Tractor Trailer. Tractor Trailer was a great player. But each year as he went on, he got heavier and heavier. And when you get heavier and heavier, you can't jump. You can't get rebound. You can't do what they paying you to do because you get this injury or that injury. Or you just too heavy to make an impact. You gassed on after like Tractor Trailer be puffing and puffing, and we ain't even 6 minutes into the first quarter.
Right. Absolutely. So, I mean, Zion has nobody to blame but himself for this. And this is part of being an athlete, man. If you don't want to be criticized, let this be a lesson to the young guys. If you want to be great at anything and you want to be going to something where you're going to be known because you're great at something, be ready for the criticism. It doesn't matter what it is. Yeah, it's going to come. So it don't matter. Patrick Mahomes could be the greatest quarterback to ever throw a football when it's all said and done. He just got called the street ball quarterback. So come on, man.
Yeah, ain't that something?
Ain't that something?
Yeah, street ball quarterback, win a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
I wonder what they would say about Joe Namath now.
I wonder what would they say about Brett Favre now? I told you Brett Favre and Patrick Mahomes have similar games. It's just Patrick is more efficient. He don't throw as many picks.
Yeah. That's the world we live in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. But we're gonna leave it right there. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. You can follow Mr. John Reid on Twitter, of course. Before we go, did you hear about Draymond Green saying that he won a max contract?
Oh, Lord, I guess if everybody else getting one, he want one too, huh?
Man, listen. Hey, if I'm the Warriors, I'm gonna say thank you, Draymond, for your service. You can go find that max contract somewhere else if you can get it. Absolutely not.
Oh man, I tell you.
I need that money to pay these young guys. I'm sorry.
So if he's on the roster next year, every conversation he have at the podium gonna be, I deserve a max deal. I was a cornerstone of this franchise. I want a max deal. He'd be saying that every day. Yep. He'd be talking about that every day while he's on the podium.
Yep, absolutely. So appreciate y'all for tuning in. Check out all my social medias: YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, all that good stuff, man. I'll have more videos coming up later on this week. I'll be going live Wednesday with my buddy Sean. I think it'll be about noon or so. Don't know our topic yet, but we'll be going live, and I'll be doing more videos, of course. And then me and Mr. Reid will be back probably sometime later on this week, man. But until next time, man, we are out of here.
Peace out,
y'all, man.